Hi everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Chriselle and I'm the marketing manager here at Aqua Data Studio. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, AI-driven developments, smarter SQL and safer insights. Joining us today is Darren Fillmore, a solutions engineer at Aqua Data Studio, bringing over 17 years of experience supporting IDE software solutions from Idera, Quest, and Dell. Darren will provide actionable strategies and practical insights to help us leverage AI for database development. We are looking forward to showing you what's possible, but before we get started, just a quick reminder that we'll be hosting a short Q&A at the end of the event. Please submit any questions you have using the questions panel during the webinar. After the session, visit aquadatastudio.com to sign up for a free trial of the latest version. And finally, this webinar is going to be recorded and will be available to view on demand after the event. Let's dive in. Darren, over to you.
Thank you, Chriselle. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Darren Fulmer. I'm a technical engineer here at Aqua Data Studio. And I've spent years working with database professionals, DBAs, developers, analysts, and I've seen firsthand how powerful tools can transform the way we work with data. My background spans everything from enterprise data environments to optimizing query performance. So it's exciting to be here sharing what's next for Aqua Data Studio. So today we're diving into Aqua Data Studio and how it's evolving, specifically how AI is being embedded into the platform to make your SQL experience smarter and your workflows more productive. So with version 25.0, we've introduced AI Assist, a new intelligent feature designed to help you write queries faster, get contextual recommendations, and even improve performance without needing to be a SQL expert. It's just like having a co-pilot that understands databases and speaks your language. And now, if you're already familiar with Aqua Data Studio, you know it's a cross-platform IDE, supporting over 40 different database platforms across Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. But this new capability brings something fundamentally different. It helps reduce the friction between intention and execution. Whether you're accessing data, writing SQL, analyzing results, or comparing schemas, AI Assist can help you get there faster and with greater confidence. Why now? Well, there's a growing demand for smarter tools in the data space. And with data sprawl, increasing complexity, and tighter turnaround times, we need more than traditional GUIs and code editors. We need tools that understand context, suggest improvements, and enable anyone on the team, whether they're technical or not, to get the insights they need. For more than 20 years, Aqua Data Studio has helped users tackle these challenges, providing robust features for query building, schema design, analytics, and so much more. But as the data landscape has evolved, AI integration became the next natural step. And we didn't just add AI because it's trendy. We added it to solve real productivity challenges. So let me ask you something, hypothetically. How much of your time is spent debugging a query, or building out a report, or waiting on another team member to validate a script? What if AI could help you get through those steps faster, with fewer mistakes, and even show you a better way to write or maybe visualize your data? And that's what we're here to explore today. So here's what we're going to go ahead and cover today. I'll walk you through the key ways AI is transforming Aqua Data Studio, not just as a technical enhancement, but as a real productivity tool across roles. We'll start by answering a fundamental question. Why does AI matter in Aqua Data Studio? We'll talk about that why behind this change, what problems we're solving, and what kind of impact it has for different users. Next, I'll give you an introduction to what AI Assist actually is and what you can expect from it when you start using it in your day-to-day work. Then we'll go ahead and shift into a very important topic, security, performance, and user control. We know AI brings up concerns around privacy and data sharing, so I'll show you exactly how we've built in safeguards and given you control over how and when AI Assist is used. After that, we'll take a look at how to enable and configure AI Assist. It's very straightforward, but I'll highlight a few key options so you can get the most out of it. We'll then explore real-world use cases, what this looks like for developers, DBAs, analysts, and even business users who don't necessarily write SQL every day. It's been exciting to see how teams are using the tool already. If time allows, we'll do a live demo of the AI Assistant action after we have gone ahead and done a short Q&A answer to any questions you have that come up. So why AI in Aqua Data Studio? And let's start with that. Why AI even belongs in ADS in the first place. So if you think about how much time we spend inside database tools, writing SQL, troubleshooting errors, formatting outputs, generating reports, it's clear that productivity isn't just about writing code faster. It's about working smarter and not harder. So when we talk about AI in Aqua Data Studio, we're not talking about some bolt-on gimmick, that we're talking about real target improvements that help you. So one of those areas is accelerated SQL development. Now imagine typing in natural language, like get total sales for region for last quarter, and instantly getting a SQL statement that you can review, tweak, and run. And the AI Assist gives you that shortcut. Increase accuracy. So it helps reduce syntax errors, it suggests corrections, and even can catch logic problems in your queries. And that means fewer errors in production and less time spent debugging. So it empowers all users. So not everyone is a SQL wizard, and that's okay. AI Assist can help analysts or business users craft complex queries without needing to memorize join syntax or nested subqueries. And it can help automate reporting. So do you need a quick summary report on a trend with a trend line? AI Assist can generate the query and allow you to execute to pull those results back into the visual analytics component of Aqua Data Studio, and allows you to go ahead and quickly build out charts and summaries. And this helps to speed up communication with stakeholders. And you maintain data control. And here's the key. You're not handing over your data to the cloud. You decide when and how to use AI, and the assistant only sees what you provide. It doesn't have access to your tables or query results unless you're explicitly sharing those that table metadata. So the why behind AI in Aqua Data Studio comes down to this. We all want to be faster, more accurate, and more collaborative without sacrificing control over our data. And AI Assist is built specifically to deliver that inside a tool you already know and trust and has been in the market for many, many years. So now that we've talked about why AI belongs in Aqua Data Studio, let's get into what AI Assist actually is. AI Assist is a built-in conversational assistant that lives right inside Aqua Data Studio. It's powered by OpenAI technology, but it's fully integrated into your local environment, so it feels native, not like you're jumping out to another tool. At its core, AI Assist is a productivity booster. So you can think of it as a SQL savvy assistant who's available on demand whenever you need help writing, debugging, or understanding SQL queries. And here's what it can do. So you can ask it a question in plain English, and it will generate the SQL for you. So you type in something like, show me the top 5 customers by sales this year. And it gives you that code, and you stay in control. You can paste in an existing SQL statement and ask it to explain what it does in simple terms. So this is a great way for learning or validating someone else's code. And it can even optimize or reformat your SQL to follow best practices or help you troubleshoot when a query isn't giving you the results you expected. And if you're doing reporting or visual analysis, AI Assist can generate that SQL to execute the results, and you can transfer those results directly into the visual analytics charting tool directly from those query results. And the idea is not to replace your expertise, but to help amplify it. And whether you're an experienced developer or someone who just wants a quick answer from your data, AI Assist gives you a head start. And in today's complex environments, you may be tasked with pulling information out of brand new databases that you don't have a lot of experience syntactually. So the syntaxing may be different in that environment. And instead of having to look it up because of your direct connection, AI Assist knows how to write the syntax for that particular SQL database. So think of it as, your Copilot, and not Microsoft Copilot, but a Copilot sitting next to you for your daily database tasks, fast, reliable, and customizable to your workflow. So one of the first questions we always get when talking about AI is it secure? And let's address that head on. When you enable AI Assist in Aqua Data Studio, you're not handing over your entire database or sensitive data to an AI black box. We've architected this feature with security as the foundation. So no data persisted. AI Assist only sees the metadata that you explicitly share with it into the chat. Your underlying table schemas, query results stay local, and nothing gets stored or reused elsewhere. Even the context you share is stripped of any identifying information. So we anonymize, sorry, it takes a bit to get that word out. So table and column names. So the AI can help with structure and logic without exposing your proprietary data model. It's a secure API connection. So all communication between Aqua Data Studio and the AI service is encrypted end to end. You control the AI API key. You're responsible for providing that key. So you know exactly which services you're connected to, and you can rotate your key at any time. So again, you're fully in control of that portion. So it's consent-driven sharing. So if you want AI Assist to see specific metadata or schema details, you can decide what to share, and there are no hidden background uploads. Every piece of information is shared only at your request. So bottom line, AI Assist was built with the same enterprise-grade security you expect from Aqua Data Studio. You remain fully in control of what the AI uses, when it uses it, and what results are returned. So now that we've addressed the big picture security concerns, let's talk about how AI Assist puts you firmly in control every step of the way. This feature was built with flexibility in mind because we know that every environment is different. Whether you're in a regulated industry, a multi-user team, or just want to limit exposure, you have the tools to customize how AI Assist works for you. So let's break that down. Security first. So we've taken a privacy-first approach. AI Assist is opt-in, not always on. You won't accidentally send queries to AI. Instead, you initiate the interaction, and what you share is only what you type or paste into the assistant. Custom preferences. So you have full access to configuration options. Want to turn off AI Assist entirely? No problem. Want to limit how much content you can send in a single message? That's configurable also. You can also control whether contextual history is saved per session, and this is great for shared machines or team policies. And these preferences live right in the ADS settings, so you don't need to jump into an external portal or involve your IT department to adjust any usage. So minimal metadata sharing. We don't automatically expose any database structure, table names, or data values. And when you do share, it's done in a way that minimizes risk. So with this means even in secure environments, you can still get value from AI Assist without exposing sensitive data. So whether you're a solo developer, a team lead, or a compliance-focused DBA, you can dial AI Assist in to meet your comfort level and security needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all tool. It's designed to fit your world and not force you into someone else's. So let's go just a bit deeper into how AI Assist handles your data and gives you full control. And this slide is really about how we extend security through user preferences and message level management, so that even when you do choose to engage with AI, you're doing so with full visibility. So metadata sharing by design, not by default. So we've touched on this, but it's worth repeating. Only what you choose to select in the metadata into the AI Assist chat window is shared. It doesn't reach into your database or collect anything behind the scenes. And when you do include things like table names or column examples, those are not retained by the AI model or Aqua Data Studio. It's a one-time stateless exchange. And this keeps your intellectual property and sensitive data out of the equation. Set message limits. So you can configure how much context is allowed in each message to the AI. And this helps to ensure that long scripts or multi-page queries aren't accidentally passed through. It's especially useful in controlled environments. You can strike a balance between usability and security. AI Assist and the preferences. So in the preferences panel, you'll find a section dedicated to AI Assist where you can enable or disable the feature entirely. You can set limits on response sizes or history. You can choose how results are displayed, whether standard SQL or if you have specific preferences set. And it's all about transparency and control. There's no magic here. Everything the assistant does is traceable, configurable, and optional. So whether you're experimenting or standardizing AI usage across your team, you have the guardrails in place. Think of this as AI with a seatbelt. It's powerful, but it keeps you safe. Excuse me, keeps you safe. So now let's talk about how easy it is to turn AI Assist on or off. So one of the things we were very intentional about when designing this feature was putting control directly into the hands of the user. You don't need to be a sysadmin or edit config files. If you want to enable AI Assist, you can do it yourself in just a few clicks. So here's how you do it. Head to the Preferences in Aqua Data Studio. Under the AI Assist section, you'll see a toggle to enable or disable the feature. You'll also find that there are settings to customize, whether it loads on startup, the model used, formatting of code, logging of conversations. It's straightforward and user scopes, so you can customize AI Assist based on your workflow or your environment. Maybe you want to test it in a dev environment before using it on production scripts, and that's totally possible. And if you're a team lead or managing shared environments, you can even standardize the settings across machines using configuration templates or policies, and depending on how you or your organization deploys Aqua Data Studio. So again, this isn't an all or nothing feature. You can adopt it gradually, control its behavior, and choose when it adds value. And if you've ever hesitated to try an AI tool because it felt intrusive or unclear, this is a very different experience. You're always in charge with the AI Assist in Aqua Data Studio. So now that we've seen what AI Assist can do and how secure and configurable it is, let's talk about who actually benefits from using it. The short answer to that is everyone. But let's break that down into the key personas we see in database environments today. So developers. For developers, AI Assist is a game changer. It helps them write SQL faster, of course, but also smarter. They can prompt AI to build out complex joins, write CTEs, generally test data queries, or explain existing code they're troubleshooting. And think of it as a built-in Stack Overflow, but without leaving your IDE. Now, DBAs, the value shifts a bit. AI Assist helps with auditing queries. It can review for performance issues or converting vendor-specific SQL syntax between platforms. It also helps speed up documentation and onboarding, so DBAs can generate explanations or clean up scripts in seconds. Now, analysts, especially those who aren't SQL experts, AI Assist bridges the gap between what I want to ask and how I need to write it. So instead of figuring out the exact syntax, they can describe what they need. Show monthly revenue by region, for example, and let the AI generate the starting point. And even for business users or folks in sales, AI Assist can help them explore data using natural language. So they can request simple queries or summaries and even build charts without needing to know SQL at all. It empowers more people across the organization to self-serve insights without waiting on IT or data teams to build out that SQL that they may need. So whether you're deep in code, managing performance, analyzing trends, or presenting insights, AI Assist fits into your workflow. It's not just for coders, it's for anyone who interacts with data. So we've seen how AI Assist helps individual users, developers, DBAs, analysts, business users. But what happens when entire teams start using it together? That's where the real power of AI Assist kicks in, when it becomes a shared productivity tool across roles. So let's start with developers again. They're often the first to test drive new features. With AI Assist, they can instantly generate queries based on feature requirements or translate business logic into SQL. They can also refactor or optimize code with AI's help, cutting down code review cycles and pushing cleaner queries faster. Meanwhile, DBAs benefit by reviewing AI-generated queries to ensure best practices are followed, using AI to convert platform-specific SQL. So for example, going from an Oracle syntax to SQL Server. Validating what developers write and providing faster feedback through AI-assisted analysis of execution plans or indexing suggestions. Analysts get to skip the back and forth. So instead of waiting for someone to write a custom query, they can just describe the insights they're after and use AI Assist to generate the SQLs themselves. And this reduces delays in reporting and allows them to iterate quickly on their analysis. Sales or business users, even they benefit. So instead of relying on a weekly report or pinging the data team for help, they can ask AI Assist for the top 10 customers by revenue this quarter and get results on the spot. And this kind of self-service access to data helps decision-making happen faster. And it makes the data team's job easier as well. So, and the result is we see fewer bottlenecks, faster collaboration, less time spent translating requirements between roles, and an overall uplift in productivity. Because now everyone has access to the same AI-powered assistant in the same environment. AI Assist doesn't just help individuals, it helps teams work more efficiently, more independently, and more cohesively. So now let's bring it all together. How exactly does AI Assist improve collaboration across your team? So it's one thing for AI to help you write a query faster or get cleaner results. But when everyone on the team has access to the same intelligent assistant, working together becomes easier and faster. So one, it reduces hands-off. So think about how often an analyst writes a rough draft of a request, sends it to a developer, who then hands it off to a DBA for tuning. With AI Assist, that loop shortens dramatically. The analyst can generate the query, The developer can review or enhance it with AI's help, and the DBA can validate performance, all within the same environment. It aligns language across teams. So AI Assist becomes a common interface between technical and non-technical users. So instead of using spreadsheets, screenshots, or overly vague requests, users can interact with AI Assist using plain language. And it generates consistent, shareable SQL across the organization. And this ensures everyone's speaking the same language, even if their roles are different. Number 3, it supports real-time exploration. So let's say you're in a meeting and someone asks a data question that wasn't in your report. You can open AI Assist, type the question, get the query, and produce the answer in real time. That's collaborative problem solving at its best. Less, I'll get back to you, and more, let's answer that now. And number 4, it encourages knowledge sharing. So AI Assist makes it easier for less experienced users to learn from the tool itself. They can see what the AI generates, tweak it, and over time build confidence and capability. And developers and DBAs benefit too. So AI becomes a quick second opinion or a way to experiment with new techniques. So this isn't just about speeding up solo tasks. It's about removing friction between roles, boosting transparency, and helping teams work in sync. The AI Assist isn't just a tool, it's a collaborative accelerator. So let's go ahead and bring this all full circle. So AI Assist isn't just a cool add-on. It's a meaningful evolution in how we interact with data, how we write SQL, how we collaborate, and how we uncover insights. And here's what I want you to go ahead and take away today. So AI Assist helps accelerate query development. Whether you're starting from scratch or fine-tuning existing SQL, you'll get results faster with less back and forth and fewer blockers. It enhances accuracy, especially when you're juggling multiple platforms or switching between different dialects of SQL. It catches common mistakes and even offers suggestions you might not have considered. And your data stays private. You're in control of what's shared with AI, when and how. You decide if and when it sees a snippet of code. Nothing is accessed without your permission. And it empowers every role, not just the developers and DBAs, but analysts, business users, and anyone trying to get value from data. And finally, AI Assist doesn't stop at just SQL. It can help you translate those results into charts, summary, and visualizations, making it easier to communicate findings across teams. This is about smarter work, smarter queries, smarter collaboration. And all of it is available to you today, built right into Aqua Data Studio. So if you haven't tried AI Assist yet, give it a go. A better, faster way to work with your data is just a prompt away. All right, so we now come to the question portion, Q&A portion of our presentation. So just want to go ahead and Chriselle, if you want to go ahead and check to see if we have any questions in the question box.
Yes. So thank you so much, Darren, and that was a really great walkthrough of Aqua Data Studio's AI capabilities that transform natural language into optimized queries while maintaining enterprise security. So we are going to jump into the Q&A portion of the session, but before we answer your questions, we've actually got a couple of questions for you guys to vote on. Okay, so you will see something pop up, just if you can take that poll. Okay, I'll give it another second and we'll move to the next one. I also wanted to remind you guys that today's session was just focused on a small part of what Aqua Data Studio can do. As the industry-leading multifunctional database tool, we offer functionality that includes over 40 features to support coding and database development, data analysis, data modeling, data administration, and everything you need to function as an effective peer in the modern enterprise environment. And we go on to the last poll before we head on to the questions. So in case you still want to add your questions, now would be a good time to add it to the chat before we start with the question and answers. Thank you guys for filling the poll. Let's go to the questions. So Darren, we have a couple of questions. I'll just read it out and maybe you can take them through with the answers. So the first question is, if AI Assist uses an external API like OpenAI, how can we be so sure that data is secure?
That's a great question. So AI Assist in Aqua Data Studio is designed with your privacy in mind. So no query results or data are ever sent to OpenAI. Only your SQL text and the schema metadata are used for generating those suggestions. And even that is optional. So users configure their own OpenAI API key. You're in full control of that key. It's your key. We don't provide a key. We don't access your key or anything. And this gives you full control over the usage, limits, billing, all of that. And you can also disable metadata sharing and set message limits per session for extra control.
Okay, thank you, Darren. We have the next question, which says, when you say juggle with various databases, can you enumerate them? Is DB2 included?
Yes, DB2 is one of the 40 different database platforms that is supported by Aqua Data Studio. You can go to the tool and you can look at a full listing on the website of all the database platforms and versions that are supported. And it's not just SQL databases that are supported, it's NoSQL databases such as Mongo that are supported as well. Cloud databases like Snowflake, Google BigQuery, Amazon, all that. So it can be an extremely powerful tool in a very hybrid, complex environment.
Okay, perfect. The next question is AI Assist and priced extra on ADS license? Please share licensing cost model of ADS.
No. So the AI Assist is part of either the standard or ultimate purchase. It's included in your purchase price. There's no additional cost from us for the AI Assist. Now, you do have to provide your own API key with OpenAI, and it does support 3 different models of OpenAI: 3.5, 4.0, and 4.0 mini. They're looking to potentially add additional models down the road in the product, but right now those are the supported ones, but you do have to provide your own API key.
Okay. We have the next question that says, how can AI Assist help non-technical users like sales or business analysts?
So the AI Assist empowers those non-technical users by allowing them to interact with the databases using natural language. So for example, sales reps can ask for the top 10 customers for revenue last quarter. AI Assist will generate that SQL, and even if they've never written SQL before, it allows them to go ahead and pull that information from the database so that they can view that information without having that going back and forth with IT team or data developer team. It's also nice that it works with Excel files as well. So, users can import a spreadsheet and use into Aqua Data Studio, and then they can use the AI Assist to explore and get reporting on that data directly as well. So non-technical users that live in Excel sheets, they can leverage it as well.
Okay, great. And another question is, we already use SQL heavily. How does AI Assist improve productivity for experienced developers or DBAs?
So even if you're an experienced SQL user, you can benefit significantly. AI Assist can help you to, say, refactor complex queries, optimize your joins, review stored procedures for performance. It saves time on repetitive or exploratory SQL that you may be writing. It can even help with even less familiar syntaxing. So switching between different dialects from different database platforms. For DBAs, it also helps generate diagnostic queries, or helps you to interpret execution plans more efficiently. And that helps reduce that manual workload that you may have to find yourself dealing with day after day.
Got it. Okay, so we're just about out of time, so I'm going to paste Darren and our sales team's email address into the chat. Thanks again for joining us today. I'd also like to thank Darren for the presentation. And like I mentioned before, this webcast has been recorded, and you'll receive an email with the recording link within the next week. So we hope to see you in the future session, and you can check the events section of our resources page to see what's coming up. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Simona, and I'm from the marketing team here at Aqua Data Studio. I'd like to welcome you to our session today, How to Build Flexibility into Your Data Stack, lesson from Sybase ACE, and Azure Data Studio. Joining us today is Darren Fulmer, a solution engineer at Aqua Data Studio. He'll be presenting how Aqua Data Studio helps you manage migration, maintain productivity, and unify your environment without workflow loss. We're looking forward to showing you what's possible, but before we get started, just a quick reminder that we'll be hosting a short Q&A at the end of the event. Please submit any question you have using the question panel during the webinar. After the session, you can visit aquadatastudio.com to sign up for a free trial of the latest version. And finally, this webinar is being recorded and will be available to view on demand after the event. Let's dive in. Darren, over to you.
Thank you, Simona, for that introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining. So to kick things off, let me take a moment to frame what this session is really going to be about. The title says we're talking about flexibility in your data stack. But in reality, we are talking about the pressure every data team is feeling as tools evolve, retire, or shift direction in ways that we cannot control. Thanks again for joining, and I appreciate everyone taking time out of their day because this topic affects almost every data team right now. We are in a period where the tools we depend on are changing faster than ever. Some are being retired quietly, some are losing investment, others are becoming harder to support because the community around them is shrinking. And nothing shows this better than two real examples: Sybase ASE on the database side and Azure Data Studio on the tooling side. Neither of these disappeared overnight, but both have reached a point where organizations are being pushed to rethink parts of their stack, whether they wanted to or not. So my goal today goes beyond simply explaining what is happening. I want to help you understand why these shifts are happening, what they teach us, and how you can use these lessons to design a more flexible and resilient environment. This is about lowering risk, reducing disruption, and gaining control of your roadmap. If you take away one idea from today, it is that flexibility is not something you patch in at the end. It is something you intentionally design into your workflows so that change becomes manageable instead of chaotic. So let me start by walking you through what we will cover today so you know exactly where we are headed. This agenda is structured to build up the story step by step rather than jumping straight into tooling. We will begin with the bigger picture and look at the evolution that is happening around all of us. And this helps ground the conversation so the rest of the material makes more sense. Then we will move into two real case studies. Sybase ASE and Azure Data Studio are both hitting different kinds of transitions, and they provide real lessons for what happens when tools reach end of life or lose support. After that, we'll talk about what really happens behind the scenes when a vendor deprecates a tool. The reality is never as simple as swapping tool A for tool B. There are workflow impacts, capability gaps, and ripple effects inside your team. Then we'll shift into what it means to design flexibility into your data stack. This is the core of the conversation. It is about building an environment that absorbs change instead of being broken by it. And finally, we will talk about how Aqua Data Studio fits into this flexibility mindset. Not as a single point replacement, but as a tool that helps you simplify, standardize, and prepare your environment for the future. And we will close with the main takeaways you can bring back to your team. So the title of this slide is The Evolution Reality. And it is a reality every one of us lives with. Technology does not sit still. Progress brings new capabilities, but it also makes older tools obsolete. And the interesting part is how uneven this evolution is across an organization. You can have highly modernized systems living right next to applications that have barely been updated in 10 years. You can have a cloud data warehouse sitting alongside a legacy on-prem transactional system that is 2 decades old, and for a long time, that mix is manageable. But eventually, one of those older systems becomes the bottleneck. It may be security updates slowing down, it may be hardware becoming more expensive, or just the talent pool shrinking. The real challenge is not that things evolve. The challenge is whether your tools and your architecture can absorb that evolution. Teams that build rigid, single-purpose environments often find themselves scrambling when a vendor changes course. Everything becomes reactive, costly, and stressful. But the teams that build in room to grow are the ones who shift with minimal disruption. They can swap out components without rebuilding everything. They can modernize at their own pace. And that is the flexibility mindset we're talking about today. So this next slide highlights just how fast change is happening. And the slide title says it clearly, the pace of change. The clearest example right now is AI. In less than 2 years, we went from GPT 3.5 to GPT 4, then 4.0, now 5. And suddenly there are multimodal models from multiple vendors competing for dominance. Models evolve almost quarterly at this point. If you built your processes around a static model, you probably felt that pain. Something you depended on shifted out from under you and you had to adapt quickly. We have seen the same behavior in data engineering. For a decade, ETL, or extract, transform, and load pipelines dominated. Then cloud warehouses emerged, and the conversation shifted rapidly towards ELT, extract, load, transform, and modern transformation frameworks. Companies with flexible data pipelines adapted almost immediately. Companies tied to older tooling and older architecture discovered that catching up was not a minor adjustment. It often became a major overhaul. The takeaway here is simple. Change is not slowing down. Agility is no longer optional. It is part of the normal operation of your environment for data teams. And here we emphasize that architectural agility matters. And when you look at the teams that handle major transitions well, there is a pattern there. They made decisions years earlier that gave them breathing room. These teams choose tools that spanned multiple platforms. They avoided hard lock-in. They built abstraction layers where possible, so the underlying platform could change without breaking the workflow. They standardized on tooling that reduced fragmentation and gave them consistent interfaces across different environments. And this pays off during modernization projects. Instead of a 2-year crisis with high costs, the transition becomes something you can phase in without disrupting operations. Instead of training entire teams on brand new tooling, you evolve the existing environment. And instead of worrying about a vendor decision that forces your hand, you stay in control of your roadmap. And this is why agility is not a technical term, it's a strategic one. So let's take a look at two real-world examples that will anchor our discussion. When you look at, excuse me, when you look at Sybase ASE nearing the end of mainstream maintenance, and you look at Azure Data Studio being retired by Microsoft, you see two very different types of change, but the same underlying problem. Organizations are being forced to adjust their tools because the vendors have changed direction. In both cases, customers did not choose the timeline. They did not choose the strategic shift. They did not choose the retirement. They simply woke up one day and realized the tools they rely on will not be viable long term. These two case studies are important because they show the downstream impacts. They show what happens when the ecosystem shrinks and when updates slow. And more importantly, they show what a flexible environment makes possible compared to a rigid one. So let's talk about the decline of Sybase ASE. And it is worth calling out that Sybase ASE was once a major player in the industry. It powered financial trading systems, telecom networks, and enterprise transactional workloads for decades. It was stable, fast, and widely trusted. But over time, the signs of decline became hard to ignore. Release cycles slowed dramatically. 11 years passed between version 16.0 and 16.1. That's unheard of in modern database life cycles. The customer base shrank to under 550 organizations worldwide, and surveys show that most of the remaining customers plan to leave the platform within the next few years. And the biggest issue is the talent pool. Most Sybase professionals have already moved on to other platforms like SQL Server or Oracle. And younger engineers, they rarely train on ASE because it no longer offers any kind of career longevity. This creates a scenario where even maintaining the system becomes harder, more expensive, and riskier. The lesson here is that even strong platforms can eventually fade. And if your environment depends entirely on one tool, you eventually reach a point where change is forced instead of chosen. So where are the Sybase customers actually moving? And interestingly, most are not following the official vendor recommendation to move to SAP HANA. Instead, the migrations tend to cluster around platforms that feel familiar, stable, and well supported. SQL Server is one of the most common destinations because the migration path is relatively straightforward, and the talent pool there is strong. PostgreSQL is growing rapidly as well, thanks to its low cost and strong open source community. And some organizations move to Oracle or MySQL, depending on their internal overall strategy. The pattern is clear. Organizations are choosing platforms with large communities, active development, long-term roadmaps, and plentiful expertise. They want to avoid repeating the same situation where they are dependent on a platform that may decline again. And this reinforces the broader theme that flexibility and ecosystem strength are important factors when choosing a database platform. So here we're going to highlight Azure Data Studio. which is another example of a tool hitting end of life. In early 2025, Microsoft announced that Azure Data Studio will be retired with support ending in 2026. The recommended path forward is to use Visual Studio Code with the SQL extension. Now, Visual Studio Code is a great code editor, but it is not a full database IDE. To recreate what Azure Data Studio offered, you end up installing plugins, configuring additional extensions, and stitching together functionality that used to be built in. The workflow becomes less unified and more fragmented. And for teams that rely on Azure Data Studio for querying, analytics, schema compare, and object management, this transition creates a real gap. Not because VS Code is bad, but because it is not a direct replacement. And once again, organizations do not control this timeline. They simply have to adjust to the vendor strategy. This example reinforces the importance of using tools that are not tied too closely to one vendor's internal priorities. And, this slide asks a great question. What actually happens when a tool is deprecated? The public announcement is usually short and clean, but the real impact happens quietly inside your teams. The vendor now controls the timeline. Your long-term modernization roadmap suddenly becomes urgent. Replacement tools rarely offer one-to-one feature parity, so gaps start to appear. And to fill those gaps, teams add temporary tools, manual workarounds, and custom scripts. Technical debt begins to accumulate as people try to keep things running while planning a migration. You also see a fragmentation of workflow. Instead of one tool, you now have multiple half solutions. If your team is busy, these temporary solutions often stay in place far longer than planned. All of this increases cost, introduces risk, and slows down your productivity. This is why planning for flexibility is so important before deprecation happens. So let's talk about the true cost of rigid tooling. And the biggest thing to emphasize is that the cost is not the license price. It is everything that happens around the tool. Rigid tools increase migration costs because you cannot easily shift away from them. They increase training costs because there are no natural skill paths to modern platforms. They increase operational overhead because you often need multiple tools to achieve what one unified tool used to do. And they increase risk because the timeline for change is controlled by your vendor. Over time, rigid tools create a dependency that becomes expensive and limiting. They trap organizations into older workflows and force costly decisions when change eventually comes. But there are alternatives to this. And here we're going to introduce the alternative, the idea of building for flexibility. And the key point here is that flexibility is a design choice. You can create an environment that absorbs change rather than resisting it. This means choosing tools that support multiple platforms so you are not locked into one vendor. It means avoiding tightly coupled integrations that make future migrations painful. It means preferring tools with long, consistent release histories. And it means standardizing where possible so your team is not learning new workflows for every database. This slide sets the stage for how Aqua Data Studio supports this approach. But the concept applies to any data team. The more flexible your architecture is, the more control you have over your future roadmap. So let's talk a little bit about Aqua Data Studio in the context of flexibility. Aqua Data Studio is built with the idea that teams should not have to juggle multiple tools or constantly adapt to shifting vendor roadmaps. It supports more than 40 database platforms. It works across Windows, Mac, and Linux. And it brings together querying, analytics, schema compare, version control integration, ER modeling, data editing, and much, much more inside one single application. You do not need plugins or separate tools for any of this core functionality. And the product has more than 20 years of active development, which provides a level of stability and predictability that many organizations appreciate. And because it is not tied to a single database vendor, customers have the freedom to adopt whatever platforms make sense for their strategy. And this is where the story transitions from explaining the challenge to offering a solution. So how does Aqua Data Studio help organizations that might be migrating off of Sybase ASE? Migrations can be stressful, but Aqua Data Studio reduces that friction by giving you one unified environment to manage the entire process. You can connect to your Sybase instance and your target instance right in the same interface. You can run assessments on your objects. You can compare schemas, generate migration scripts, and validate the results. You can build synthetic data for testing, so your production data stays protected. You can run side-by-side queries to compare performance and correctness. The biggest benefit is consistency. Instead of switching between multiple tools, scripts, and utilities, everything happens within one workflow. That reduces error, that shortens the project, and it helps your team stay productive. So let's look at Azure Data Studio retirement specifically. Excuse me. For teams who rely on Azure Data Studio, Aqua Data Studio provides a smooth transition because it includes every core feature Azure Data Studio offered, plus additional capabilities that many customers wanted. The query window, object browser, visual explain plans, analytics, schema compare, ER modeling tools, these are all built directly into the application. You do not need to assemble plugins or rely on extensions with varying levels of support. And because Aqua Data Studio supports multi-database environments out of the box, this is a chance to simplify your workflow. You can stop using different tools for SQL Server Postgres, Oracle, Snowflake, and others. You get one consistent experience that reduces training overhead and improves productivity. So this slide helps us reinforce an important idea. With the right tool set, modernization does not have to be a crisis-driven event. When you use a flexible tool like Aqua Data Studio, you gain control over the pace and structure of your modernization efforts. You can evaluate new platforms without abandoning your old ones. You can phase migrations gradually. You can test workloads side by side without having to learn entirely new tools. And you can train your teams consistently instead of trying to keep up with multiple vendor-provided utilities. This approach reduces disruption and increases your options. It turns modernization from a forced reaction into an intentional, manageable process. So let's emphasize one of the most important mindset shifts in the entire presentation. When a tool is retired or a vendor changes course, most organizations focus on finding a replacement. But that approach only guarantees that you will repeat the same situation again in a few years. Instead, look at transitions as strategic upgrade opportunities. You can streamline your stack. You can consolidate tools. You can choose platforms with long roadmaps and strong communities. You can adopt workflows that span multiple databases. And this mindset gives you long-term stability. It reduces risk, it simplifies training, and it prevents you from being locked into another tool or environment that limits your options. So to close things out, let me bring together the main ideas from today. Change is not slowing down. Tools will continue to evolve. Some will be retired, some will fall behind. The question is not whether change will happen. The question is whether your environment can handle it. Rigid, single-purpose tools limit your ability to adapt. They create risk, they create cost, and they put your roadmap in the hands of the vendor. Flexible architectures give you control. They let you adopt new technologies on your own timeline. They reduce fragmentation, and they make modernization predictable instead of stressful. Aqua Data Studio is built around that idea. It supports a wide range of databases. It gives your team a unified experience, whether they're using Windows, Mac, or Linux, or any database platform that you can think of. And it helps you stay ahead of change instead of reacting to it. The goal is not just to survive transitions. The goal is to build an environment that benefits from them. And with the right tools and the right strategy, that is absolutely possible. So I want to thank everybody for the presentation. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions now. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box, or and then Simone will read them off, and I'll try to answer them here if we can.
Yeah, thanks so much, Darren. That was a really great explanation. Our organization can stay ahead of technology changes. We're just about to jump into the Q&A portion of the session. Before, I wanted to remind that today's session just focused on a small part of what Aqua Data Studio can do. As the industry-leading multifunction database tool, we offer functionality that includes over 40 features to support coding and database development, data analysis and BI, data modeling, database administration, and everything you need to function as an effective peer in a modern enterprise environment. I'll go ahead with the Q&A. We have a couple of questions. So the first question, someone is asking, with SQL Anywhere, the end of maintenance will come in 2028. Will you deliver an analog functionality for ASA?
I'm sorry, Simona, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, someone is asking, with SQL Anywhere, the end of maintenance will come in 2028. Will you deliver an analog functionality for ASA?
Yeah, so that one I will have to check with product management to see what is on the roadmap. 2028 is a little down the road, so that might be something that they won't be deciding on until maybe late of next year or in 2027. Trying to stay on top of things that are disappearing now and being able to provide a solution for those is the priority, of course.
Thank you. Someone else is asking, can you migrate the other way, so from Oracle to PostgreSQL?
Yeah, so it's important to know that Aqua Data Studio, it's not a migration tool. It does have a lot of capability built in to allow you to do different types of migration solutions. So you can do ER modeling and you can convert those models and build out into different platforms. You can do imports and exports. You can do schema compares, but there's no transformation portion that you would typically see in a dedicated ETL or ELT tool. But it does give you the ability to do build out a script to generate, let's say, build out a model of Oracle, convert that model into a Postgres, and then execute that model or that script so that you can have a matching structure. And then you can do schema compares to ensure that everything is transitioned properly. You can do imports and exports of data, but again, there's no transformation. So there may be some manual adjustment there because it's not a dedicated ETL or ELT tool. I hope that helps answer your question.
Thank you, Darren. Yes, I think there is a follow-up on that. So the following question is, do you actively support the migration of tables, triggers, events, store function, and store procedure from SQL Anywhere to PostgreSQL?
So again, because Aqua Data Studio, it's a IDE tool, not a dedicated ETL tool. So some of that, like your triggers and functions, that stuff's going to have to be manually done. It's with Aqua Data Studio. It can get the bulk of what you may need to do with the building of the script of your tables and views and indexes and that sort of thing. But as far as your store procedures and functions and that, typically, that requires a more focused ETL type tool to handle all in a single step. So there may be some manual migration that you may have to do because it's not, again, a dedicated migration tool.
Thank you, Darren. I think we have time for maybe one more question, a couple of more. So someone is asking, if Azure Data Studio is being retired, why choose Aqua Data Studio instead of moving to VS Code with the SQL extension like Microsoft recommends?
So that's a good question. VS Code with the SQL extension is a general purpose editor. It's not designed to be a full database IDE. Aqua Data Studio provides an integrated experience with built-in query tools, visual explain plans, schema compare, ER modeling, debugging, and visual analytics, charting, all in one place. So you do not need to install multiple plugins or stitch together a workflow. You know, if you want the same level of capability as your Data Studio offered, plus a broader multi-database environment, Aqua Data Studio is a much smoother and more complete replacement than Visual Studio.
Thank you, Darren.
Yeah.
So the last question, we use Sybase AC today. How exactly does Aqua Data Studio help with the migration if we decide to move to SQL Server, PostgreSQL, or Oracle?
Good question. Again, just to reiterate, Aqua is not a dedicated ETL tool, but it does connect to both Sybase and any one of those target platforms, all in the same interface. So you can directly compare schemas, you can synchronize objects. Again, you can generate synthetic data to do testing in that new environment that you've set up. You can script out objects. You can move your data with the import-export capability, and you can then again validate results without ever switching the tool. The product supports the entire workflow from assessment through final validation, and that reduces a lot of time, risk, and tool sprawl during that migration period. Again, if it's a large database environment with a lot of procedures, functions, that sort of thing, a dedicated ETL tool or ELT tool might be a better fit. But if it's like your test environments or whatever, you know, Aqua Data Studio should be able to get you through any of that process.
Great, perfect, thank you. So we are just about of time, so I'm going to pass Darren's and our sales team email address into the chat. Thanks again for joining us today. I also like to thank you, Darren, for this presentation. This webcast has been recorded and you will receive an email with the recording link within the next week. We hope to see you again for one of our future sessions, so make sure to check the event section of our resource page where you can find everything that's coming up. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you again all for joining today and spending the time to look at the changes happening in our industry. The goal was to show that even when tools reach end of life or vendor shift direction, you can stay ahead of that curve by building in flexibility into your data stack, and Aqua Data Studio helps make that possible by giving you a stable multi-platform environment that adapts as your database landscape evolves. And I appreciate your time and hope the session gave you some clear next steps for moving forward with confidence. Have a great day, everybody.